Hello and welcome back to TCG Dreamland. So, for this video, I opened a collector box and a draft box, and I noticed a lot of differences with the cards. And then someone commented on the collector box opening video that the foils were different between the Japanese printing and the US printing. And I just wanted to show you that is true. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But also, just with the regular cards, there's a lot of visual differences, both visual and texture. So I wanted to show you these. And I can tell that this one is the Japanese one, and this one is the US printed one because of the texture. I'll talk about that in a sec, but there's a lot of differences between the Japanese and the US printed stuff. So first off, you can see this one's a lot darker. The Japanese one's a lot darker on the front. And then additionally, look at the text in the text box. Like, someone missed the memo somewhere. The US printed stuff is like in bold text compared to the Japanese printing. That is just really strange. Like the thickness of the actual letters is different. This one, the US printing is like in bold compared to the Japanese printing. It's very, very strange. So the color and the text are both different. And then this is something you probably won't be able to see on camera, but the texture of the cards are also very different. So the actual card stock is different. So this one's the US printed one, and it's got a very papery feel to it. It's it's kind of rough. It's got a paper feel. You can definitely tell that this is, a card. You know what I mean? Whereas this one, the Japanese printed one, it's got a smooth feel to it, almost like a plasticky feeling. So that's a couple things that I've noticed. It's just very strange. So someone ordered these two cards, and so I just happen to have them. I'm actually filling orders right now. Anyways, so I'll show you the difference with the foils in just a sec. I'm actually going to record it in a different clip. But yeah, already there's some very obvious differences there. All right, I am back with foils. So let's try to get this. I tried recording this once already, and it was just not clear by the video what was going on. So let's look at these. This one is the US one. I can tell by both the texture on the back as well as the reflectiveness. That's what I'm going to call it. So let's look at these. The foiling is different. It's kind of hard to see on cam, but the way that I was able to figure out how I can show it best is look at this one. So this one's the US one. You can see the glare right there. You can see the glare right there. The US one is much more reflective, a lot shinier. It's much more uniform. It's just a very solid, glossy sheen on top of the card. Now look at that same spot. If I move it over to this one, see it's not there. The Japanese one, it's more of a matte finish. It's still shiny and reflective. You can still tell it's a foil, but it's not like that. See, that's how I was able to figure out how to show you guys. So this one, the US one, it's very shiny and reflective. The Japanese one, it's kind of a matte. It's more matte. It's still, obviously, you can tell it's still a foil. But yeah, so that just shows whatever layer that they use, because I think it's just an extra layer that they put on top of the actual card. And I don't know, someone asked about if it would be more or less likely to curl. I have no idea, because neither of these are curled very much. So I cannot tell you which would be better or worse in terms of potential curling. I cannot tell you that. But I can say that the foil layer that they put on top is definitely different. Let's see if I can get that little... Where is it? There it is. I'm actually wearing a headlamp. That's how I figured out how I could show you. But it's very reflective there. Very reflective on the US one. Not nearly as reflective and shiny. See right there. You can see it's more of a textured. It's more textured, more matte kind of finish to it. Whereas this one's just very, very shiny. Especially on the text box, it's just very shiny. This one, it's more of a diffused matte kind of finish. So there you go. Some of the differences, the texture is probably the most obvious thing, but also the foils are very different. And then apparently, I was looking back at some of the other cards, it seems like it might be only the retros that have the difference with the text. Because this one, you can see the text isn't different. The text is very much the same on these ones. So the regular borders, it seems like the text isn't different. But as I showed you with those other ones, on the retros, the text was straight up different. Like which one was it? I think it was the US one. I'm recording this the day after. I think it was the US one was in bold, and then the Japanese wasn't, which is kind of weird. But yeah, so what do you guys, sorry, my voice cracked. What do you guys think about that? I kind of see a problem with this. As someone that buys and sells cards for a living, and you have to be able to tell the difference between real and fake. And if it's the same card and there's two different, very different, noticeably different versions that are both legit cards, but because they were printed on different printers in different countries, they're very different. And it's like the texture is probably the most obvious thing. It's just, I know you can't really see it on camera, but this one is just, the Japanese one is like very plasticky, smooth. This one's very, it feels like paper. It feels like cardboard. It's got a rough feel to it. And then obviously the foiling is just very different. It's a lot more noticeable with the naked eye than on camera. But there's a very distinct difference. So what do you guys think about that? I kind of have a problem with it in terms of being able to tell what's real and what's fake. Because it's not really important with modern cards that are, worth less than $1. But at some point, these cards are going to be old. 20 years from now, these are going to be 20-year-old cards. That's kind of a stupid thing to say, but to be able to tell the difference is kind of a big deal. And if there's two very distinctly different legit versions, it just makes it harder to tell real from fake. So that's my input on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And I'm looking forward to see what you guys have to say. Probably 99% of people don't really care, but I'm sure some of you will have something interesting to read about. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.